It's not often I end up making a defending something video just days after the announcement of whatever we're talking about, but seeing as this particular one came just months after one of the most widely reviled games in recent memory, and has already prompted a wave of unpleasant surprise, scorn, and doom-mongering, I figured somebody ought to do a defense of the latest Sonic the Hedgehog game, Sonic Boom Fire and Ice. Leave your Game of Thrones jokes at the door, people, because we've got better things to do for the next few minutes. Then we'll do the jokes. For the uninitiated, 2 video games based on the Sonic Boom cartoon were released in the winter of 2014. Shattered Crystals, a handheld Metroidvania widely considered decent, but plagued by terrible design choices that dragged it down, and Rise of Lyric, a prime example of how not to handle video game development by being a glitchy, illogical, and irritating mess of what was otherwise a generic 3D platformer. Because this is the internet, which hates Sonic with a bitter, ridiculing fury normally reserved for genocidal dictators, this has resulted in tons of people claiming that the series is or should be dead forever now because of this treacherous mistake. So when this came out of the blue, of course people jumped onto it and proclaimed it as shit. Which is stupid, for several reasons. Like with Skylanders, I'm not in the mood to argue with every naysayer over each and every reason until Third Impact finally happens, so let's go through as many as we can in a logical manner. Firstly, why it exists. That one's obvious. Regardless of Boom's success across all media and not just video gaming, Sega's poured a lot of cash into it, maybe stupidly so, but all the same they still are going to try and get their money's worth from it. They can't shut everything down just because of a couple of bad games that didn't sell so well. They've got investors to make it up to and promises to keep, especially to those folks at Cartoon Network profiting from the very good ratings the show's been getting lately. On that note, it wouldn't be too surprising if Cartoon Network were actually the ones to commission this game instead of an internal decision by Sega, similar to their contract with WayForward to produce Adventure Time games on a yearly basis. In other words, it's a licensed property that's doing fairly well, so of course it's going to get a game. Get over it. As for it being a sequel to the Sonic Boom video games, it's a sequel to Shattered Crystals, not Rise of Lyric. We're not getting another glitch fest of a 3D platformer, but a Metroidvania that was actually not that bad in the grand scheme of things. Yeah, it got slaughtered in reviews, but with the hatred boner most not Sonic fan sites have been rocking with the rest of the internet lately, that's to be expected these days. For those that looked past the bad hype caused by its console counterpart, it was a decent game with fun gameplay mechanics, but hampered by several unfortunate design choices, so to see a chance to fix those problems is a godsend. And to those saying it looks like the last game with a new character and a fire-ice gimmick that makes it sound so boring, well, duh. It's a sequel, what do you expect? Maybe things have changed since I last crawled out from under my rock and looked at the sun, but video game sequels generally retain the gameplay of the original while tweaking it to address flaws, which this looks set to do by adding in more boss battles, Amy as a playable character, and according to some of the tweets from the official Sonic Twitter account, more streamlined levels. And hell, considering how often the Sonic series has been reinventing itself lately, it's actually kind of impressive that we're having a sequel with the same style carried over from the previous game, for once. Wasn't consistency what some of you people wanted at least? Well, here you go. Congratulations! Oh, and let's not forget that this is being developed by Sanzaru Games, who did Shattered Crystal. Not only will they know what to do better than anybody due to them being fully aware of that game's short development period, but they're an established developer who know how to make good games with the likes of Sly Cooper 4 on their history, for those still thinking they're rubbish because they made one Sonic game. But more importantly, they're not dimps, so there won't be any cheap level design and gameplay that gets progressively worse as you go through the game, so that's bloody fantastic too. And finally, let's deal with the idea that some are presenting that this game will automatically suck because it's Sonic, and Sonic has apparently always sucked, thanks in part to the internet systematically rewriting history so that everything in the entire franchise sucks like it's George Orwell's 1984. Look, I get that Rise of Lyric happened. I've not played it, but I know what happened. What happened was a bloody travesty for anybody to do in any context. I get that totally. But that's no reason to proclaim everything in the series, or anything else for that matter, will suck from now on. Rise of Lyric was a disaster, yes, but everybody, and especially every franchise, has a disaster of some sort in their hands from their own creation. Spider-Man gave us one more day in the Clone Saga, but you don't see the internet demanding that Spidey or Marvel die forever. Square Enix lost millions to Final Fantasy XIII's graphics engine, but they didn't just roll over and close up shop because not as many people liked it as they hoped. We all cock up, and we do that a lot, but that doesn't justify giving up if we have the choice not to. And saying Sonic should die for such a cock up is just idiotic. Yes, they made an awful game, but Sega, Sonic Team, Sanzaru, or whoever they are, they can try and make up for that. Maybe it'll work, maybe it won't, and maybe this video will seem overly optimistic for a piece of crap in a year from now. That's true. Still, it never hurts to atone for your mistakes and make a brighter day for everyone, so let's just wait and see how Fire and Ice turns out before we all shit on it, because Sonic Doom. Seriously though, to those looking to shit on everything to do with the game for that exact reason, do those of us that actually care a big favor and kindly bugger off. We'll be fine without your bitter riffing and constant quoting of JonTron memes for a few months, don't worry. As for the rest of you, I hope we get a good game as much as you do, so keep hoping at the very least. And if it turns out to be rubbish, we can always count on a good soundtrack to make up for that. I'm Father Dougal 9000, and I hope you enjoyed watching this defense of Sonic Boom Fire and Ice. Or at least not downvoted it and called me an arse bandit of a pedophile just for defending a Sonic the Hedgehog related thing on sheer principle. Thanks for watching, and until we meet again, have a great day, y'all.